Well, it's not a post-game show, and it is not a typical Monday through Friday UCSS, but because Anthony has a fever and director Steve is not medically cleared to return to work until tomorrow, we got to do a remote show, guys. You didn't want to see me punching up the buttons. That would have been an absolute catastrophe if I had to try and produce and direct. So joining me today virtually is G. Bush, 31-year-old Tyvis Powell, and my man Dustin Fox.
Happy birthday!
Ty,
what up, fellas? What up? What up?
31 is nothing. There's nothing like exciting about 31. I learned that. Like you turn 31 and it's like, like 30 is big, 35, 40, but 31 is like, so for the next 3 years, I'm gonna be like,
Man, I don't know about that.
I don't think 35 is big either. Dustin, G, you could let us know, but is 35 a big deal?
I don't think so. All my 30 birthdays were great. The 40 was a little bit of a shell shocker, but nah, dude. I mean, just enjoy it, buddy. Enjoy your 30s.
Well, he Dustin is right. Dustin shouldn't have no no bad 30s or 40s. Like if you still can play. Like if you still can be athletic, like if you can dunk a basketball and like run around and still bully your children, like get up out of here, you too small. That works. So Tyvis has a young lady, so he definitely is running around here dunking on people and mossing people. He should feel good about himself.
I got to give a bunch of horseback rides, and I got to pick my kids up and turn them into airplanes. So I tell you what, being a father, you can't be weak. Like you got to be like physically kind of strong because like they demand a lot. Like pick me up and carry me. I got to take them to bed. It's a lot. It's a lot. So you got to stay in the weight room if you're a father.
Dustin, I know when you got the, hey, we have to be remote because we have no director's text. This was not the location the last time we did a remote show. Now we have G and Tyvis on. Was this a intentional flex to show off the shoe collection?
So, yes. Yes. The answer is yes. But it's not fully ready. Like this is my little shoe area in my basement where I'm going to turn this into like a sort of a backdrop for my podcast and stuff. So I'm doing more podcasting from home. It's not ready yet, but this is like a temporary setup. But because it's Tyvis's birthday, I figured I'd just show him all the Travis Scotts that he wishes he could have.
Hey, man, it's looking. Listen, when I met Tyvis, like this got bad. See, Dustin sends pics about his shoes. Like probably he get like 2 or 3 a day.
It's ridiculous.
It's 2 or 3 a day, and I got upset about it. And I was just telling my wife, I said, "Listen, we're not paying the gas bill this week." We're not paying none of that. No, I'm saying I need 2-3 pairs. What are you talking about? You're going crazy. I said, listen, these dudes is getting these shoes. Now look, I got a stockpile. Now Tyvis is in third right now. He's squarely in third place. I mean, I have not seen a pair come down the pipeline. He's still trying to call East Bay. It ain't working.
Listen, I'm not like this. I don't flex them all. Like I still ain't even wore my Columbia 11s. I got them. I'm about the flu games come out next week, so I got them already, but I gotta rebuy them because the ones from 16 is not good anymore. So I gotta rebuy them. Listen, this the year to come back. Jordan seen his numbers decline last year. Yeah. He said, "This is what we gonna do. We dropping every good shoe we got." So
I'll say that early on. Like this is the year. If you was trying to get in the game, this is the year that they bring in that fire right now.
Oh, dude! Every week they're bringing out like 2-3 pairs. Of the retro, like good retros.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. The ones that Michael Jordan actually wore, like those Jordans.
By the way, did you know that the breads this is maybe like for a lot of people kind of like in the weeds, but like the breads which are coming out or did they just come out?
You talking about
the band one breads, So like those, he never wore those in a game. Did you know that?
Facts.
I just never wore them in the game.
I saw that 2 days ago.
He just wore them in the dunk contest.
Wore them in the dunk contest and a few promotional shoots, and that was it.
That's crazy. We're going to hop into our topics today for the 700 people already in here. If anyone in the chat comes in later and says, why are they remote? please just do us the favor and let them know so we don't have to explain it 15 times over the next 2 hours. Once again, Director Steve not cleared to come back to work until tomorrow, and Anthony has 103-degree fever, and none of us are qualified to punch buttons. So please just do us a favor, take that off our hands. Let the people out there know that is why we are not on in studio today. That's why we're doing a remote show. And let's dive into our first topic. First and foremost, guys, as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft, we start seeing some NFL player to prospect comparisons. And before we dive in, Dustin, I want to ask you this, and then Tyvis, I want to ask you this before we get into the quarterbacks. But Dustin, did you have a player comp that you remember when you were coming out of Ohio State? Did you remember reading into the scouting report saying Dustin Fox has similar traits to player X?
Wow, good question. I have to think back to that a little bit because, like, my comps were not fair. They had nothing to do with my ability. It was more just about my skin color. So, like, the Seahorn stuff came up quite a bit, or they'd compare me to just the random white safety that played. I mean, it was yeah. I mean, it was really bizarre because when I went to the combine, I actually met with some guys, a couple of coaching staffs that didn't know. Like, I walked in the room and they thought I was like, we're looking for Dustin Fox. I'm like, I'm here. They're like, no. Like, you're white. They didn't know I was white because the trick was with my senior year, I wore sleeves. So, like, these guys have never met you. They just watch film and they just see it, Ohio State uniform, white sleeves, white socks. Like, you couldn't tell my skin color. So people thought I was a black dude. Pretty funny.
This is wild. So you telling me Dustin Fox was the first DEI NFL player?
I don't know that I was the first, but I appreciate the joke. Yeah, I mean, I was in the mix for sure.
He was in it, but Seahorn put y'all on though for about 2 years. Seahorn was the truth. Adam Archuleta, I bet you got that a lot. Was Archuleta before you or after you?
Archuleta was before me. Yeah,
because Archuleta was the first dude to apply metrics like that. Like, so he had the 40-inch vertical, the 4.4, like he was doing the science stuff. And back in the I grew up with Dustin, so everybody just knew that they're like he was Matt McClung before then. Like, he would come and hoop and do the contest, and him and his brother both could jump. So it was like they kind of knew who he was a little bit in the streets.
Ty, who is your
streets were talking?
Yeah.
Ty, who is your comp?
Yeah,
they compared me to some guy that I didn't know, which probably should have been a sign that how my career was gonna go. I think his name was like Kendrick Lewis, maybe. He was like a special teamer. He was a safety. He was like a special teamer. I think he played for like Baltimore or something like that. Just a special teams guy. Had a couple of starts here and there, but which I guess same thing that I was. They were right, I guess. So therefore, I guess these guys know a little something because they had me projected as a guy who could put it. I was my. You know how you get your little score or what you're going to be like 608 or 7 or whatever. Mine was, I think it was special teamer / backup. I think that's what it was. So they were right. They got that one right, I guess.
So with some of these, they end up being spot on. Some are way off. The comp is way too high. The comp is way too low. For this particular article I found, it's from Thor Nystrom, who does a really good job covering the NFL draft. And he was looking at the top 12 quarterbacks. We're going to focus on the top 6. But he's not looking at their potential. He's looking at more of their skill set, their traits, and who, when he watches the film, said college quarterback reminds him of. So I'm going to give you the quarterback to NFL player comps, and you guys can let me know if you think the comp, you can see it, if it's way off, and okay, even if the style is correct, will that player ever reach the ceiling or the floor of the potential comparison? So, G, I'll start with you on the first one. Thor Nystrom of Fantasy Life has Shador Sanders as his number 1 quarterback. And his NFL comp for Shador Sanders is Drew Brees. What say you?
That's kind of high, big dog.
Once again, he's looking at stylistic more than like potential.
I feel like, listen, this gets me in trouble because these little snippets. I'm like Jason Lloyd now. G. Bush said Shador Sanders is Brees. Like, no. I didn't say that's tough. I can see where they're getting it from. Like, Shador is he's not 6'5", 240. He's not a huge guy. Doesn't have a huge arm. He's very accurate. He's very smart. He's intelligent. Played a lot of football. Drew Brees at Purdue played a lot of football. And he had to maneuver and find different ways to, get angles and throw the football because he wasn't that big. But I could see him at that level, but I got a hard time calling somebody Drew Brees. Like, we used to call him Breezes for a little bit because he was throwing for 5 and just parting the Red Sea. Like, I can't. I can see where they make that analogy at. It's not too bad, but the production part is the part that I'm looking at. Like, oh no, he gonna have to have a great career if he want to do that.
Ty?
I mean, listen, when you think about a guy that's doing his ball comes out probably the best when it comes to like timing throws. Drew Brees was the king of that. Timing. He's gonna put the ball in the same spot every time, right on time. And when you think about Shador, obviously he did that a lot. Drew Brees also was very accurate and threw a very good deep ball. Shador Sanders throws a very accurate deep ball as well. So I think that's where it comes from. And, I think the main part that I think that they're speculating is that both quarterbacks did really well when pressure was in their face. Drew Brees, although he was 6 foot, maybe, he did a really good job of, getting the ball out of his hands when that pressure was coming. If you look at Shador Sanders, same thing. He has no problem standing into that pocket and delivering a nice, accurate ball, even with pressure around him. So I think that's where they get the Drew Brees comparisons from as far as that. Obviously, Drew went on to the NFL and was sensational as a quarterback, broke so many records. That's a very tall ladder to climb. But for Shador Sanders, that's an honor to be mentioned in the same breath as a Drew Brees.
Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's an honor to be in the conversation with the player of the stature of Drew Brees, who's Hall of Fame quarterback and won a Super Bowl and all these things. They both have some similarities. They're both sort of like, they're not mobile quarterbacks, like where they're going to run a ton, like a Lamar Jackson or someone like that. But they are mobile enough to be able to move around the pocket and make plays improvisationally. You know what I mean? I think they're both good at that. The smarts, the ability to diagnose and all those things, I think that's a big part of it too. But I mean, Drew Brees, it's just hard to compare a college kid to a player who's played 15 to 20 years in the league and is going to have a gold jacket on. You know what I mean? Like, it's really tough to make those comparisons. It's really unfair to the player coming out in the draft, because those expectations are really tough to live up to. But you have to do it. I mean, it's what we do. People are going to compare a player and be like, who's he remind you of? And you're going to say, okay, well, it kind of looks like this guy. And that's just kind of how it goes. It doesn't mean you're going to be that player. It doesn't mean like that Shador Sanders can't be better than Drew Brees. So you don't want to put a ceiling or a floor on a player based off of a comparison. So that's the one area where I don't like it. But again, I mean, if you're Shador Sanders, you're thinking about reading these articles and you read this stuff and hear these things, you're like, wow, that's high praise, man. I better, I have a lot to live up to here. You know what I mean?
If he, I'm gonna tell you this: if he's anything near Drew Brees,
the Browns better take it. They better sprint that number 2 pick up there and take him with the.
I might buy my wife a jersey. I really might.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You got to buy her a watch, G. If it's Shador, you got to buy her a watch. Exactly.
Can you? How would you? But first, G. Bush, he would be like, I want jersey.
Yeah, so I would like jersey, but my favorite player is Lamar Jackson.
I haven't even met your wife. Does your wife really talk like that?
Yeah.
Yes. It's awesome. Okay. Rose is the best.
Okay,
the absolute best.
All right, I got to meet her one of these days.
In the article, when Thor is describing why he saw Drew Brees as a comp for Shador, he talked about his decision making, the pinpoint accuracy, and the thing he said reminded him most of Drew Brees is even under pressure, the throwing motion does not change. It's the exact same delivery, the pressure in the pocket, on the run. And that was when he said, if you strip the names off the back of the jersey, take the numbers off and watch these guys in black and white, and you didn't know who player X was and player Y was, those two things were really similar. So that was his kind of reasoning for comparing Shador Sanders to Drew Brees.
It's starting, Tyvis. Y'all know how it is. The more you get towards these combines, Listen, I like Shador Sanders. You're going to start seeing these little stories and these superlatives thrown out there. If you take the name off the back of the jersey, you close your eyes and blindfold yourself, turn around 3 times, he looks just like Drew Brees. I'm telling you, he's the number 2. These dudes be shooting up the draft, man.
All I'm saying is before he said all that, I had said exactly. Maybe I'm missing my call, Mikey. Maybe I should become a draft expert. Maybe I should look at people's stuff and be like, oh, you know what? He does this well and that way. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, no.
Do it, and we will make a segment out of it. We would love to have. Listen, we're using Thor Nystrom's. I would prefer to use Tyvis Powell if you want to put in the work and come up with some comps for these guys. You can start with the next one though, Tyvis. Cam Ward. Thor Nystrom compared Cam Ward on tape and said this was the most similar comparison of all in his mind to Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh.
Do you see that as a potential comparison for Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback?
Ooh, that's you know what though? That's really not a bad comparison, actually. Now that I sit here and I'm thinking about Jordan Love's game and I'm thinking about Cam Ward's game, honestly, if I was Cam Ward, I'd be kind of scared because now that means that you might need to sit for a couple years. which we already said that a lot of these quarterbacks probably would do service by sitting a year and learning the NFL game. But when you think about Jordan Love had a really good arm, and Jordan Love has throws. I mean, he had the best throw I seen last season where he threw it to the tight end. I can't remember who they was playing, but it was like, dude, it was like, oh, like you couldn't even, the DB hand was just like this, and it just went right past it like that. And Cam Ward, when you watch him, he does some of the same things where it's like, dude, did you see him make that pass? So, but it's not consistent. It's something that you still got to tweak and you still got to continue to work to make it more consistent. And I guess that when you think about Jordan Love, in the same vein, he had moments where he looked really good, but then, they play like Detroit and he's throwing pick sixes to players and stuff like that. So it's not a bad comparison at all. Actually, it's kind of spot on. I think Jordan Love, obviously, what I will say about these two is if Cam Ward was to be a Jordan Love, then he better go to a Matt LaFleur type play caller like that. Because now which for a lot of these quarterbacks, the team that you go to, you need to go to a good offensive minded coach that understands your talent and is going to put you in situations to succeed. Because if Jordan Love went to, I don't know, the Bears, would he be the same? I don't know. But I think that with Matt LaFleur, he did a really good job of honing in on what his strengths is and put him in the right situation. Same thing I feel with Cam Ward.
Justin?
The Love comparison is good. One that I think of that I think is better. Tell me what y'all think. I think Vince Young is a little more of a comparison for me with Cam. More so the release. It's kind of I don't know. They look very similar. Yeah. Effortless. Yeah, and they are obviously very, very smooth athletes. So. I think sort of in between the Vince Young and Jordan Love is where you're going to find a Cam Ward. All those guys are great players. Vince was obviously a better college player than a pro, and whatever happened in the pros, that's you can debate that.
He got with the wrong coaching staff.
That happens from time to time with players. So Cam. Do you like that comparison? Do you think Vince Young is a little of that? I mean, you got a little Vince
without the running, obviously.
Yeah, Vince Young is a better athlete. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But, Mm-hmm. Here's my comparison. I hate to say it. Y'all gonna be mad. Y'all gonna be salty.
No, we ain't.
It rhymes with G W Lord, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is Deshaun Watson before he was bad. Like he is like when Deshaun Watson got to Houston, like that second year where he was just running around, if you close your eyes and you go back and watch Clemson, Deshaun Watson, and watch the nonchalant nature in which he's just doing what he wants. Like he's just like, oh yeah, I'm over here, flick, touchdown. Oh, you can't touch me. I'm a little faster than you. And then he gets to Houston, you're like, man, I'll never get that off. And he kept getting it off. He reminds me of Deshaun Watson. Like, and I'm like, who throws deep balls like this? No one's throwing deep balls where they just turn around and throw the ball. He reminds me of how that level of like I'm better than y'all. So I think sometimes when people say Cam Ward, I get like flashbacks, and I'm kind of like jaded. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can really do this again, Tyvis. But he's a different person. And it looks like the Tennessee Titans are going to take him, so we might not get a chance to see it. But we've talked about that a whole lot. We've never really talked about the possibility of Cam Ward being second overall and what the Browns do about him.
I was gonna ask you if let's say that the Tennessee Titans shocked the world and took Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, which it's not out of play actually, it's really not. And Cam Ward and Shador is sitting there. Who you taking, G?
I want them to take.
If you go a quarterback, if you are,
I want them to take it off the plate for me. I really do, because I think that Dustin, I'm like,
no, I see now. I'm rooting for it to happen because I do not. Because see, this the thing. This one would make it so good. It's because right now, a lot of people, the fan base is split 50-50, I think. Yeah. 50% want Shador, 50% want Abdul Carter, I would say. And the majority of people that want Abdul Carter is because they said that these quarterbacks are not good. They say Cam Ward is pretty good. But none of them is as good as the quarterbacks of last year. Okay, so if Abdul Carter is not available, what do you do? That would be the question. Like, what do you do? You stuck with Travis Hunter and the two best quarterbacks in this draft.
We've done that. We've done that before. I forget exactly how everyone answered, but the consensus was Cam Ward probably has a higher ceiling. Shador fits what Stefanski wants to do better.
I agree with that. Which one would you take, McNuggets?
Yeah, I'm starting not to think that McNuggets.
You may have been on the show that day. That may have been you. Could have been the one leading the charge.
I want to know who y'all would take if both quarterbacks was available.
If you think one's better than the other, you take the better one. If you think Cam Ward's better, you take Cam Ward. If you think Shador's better, you take Shador.
I'm taking Cam Ward.
What would you say?
I would take Cam Ward.
Okay. What about you, G?
I just, for some reason, I know that probably to me, I know Cam Ward is better by watching him play, but I just can't, I can see, I don't know why I could see Shador Sanders like being lights out in this offense. I just don't, it's just like, bro, Shador Sanders is good. I just see people being wide open, like, because the way Stefanski gonna try to call it up. That may be just me. I don't think there's that big of a gap. And I do think, like, today, if you had to start one of them right now, I think Shador would probably perform better because he's more ready to play today. But in 2 years, Cam Ward might be the deal. He might be that guy. Like, you know what I mean? He has some Patrick Mahomes qualities a little bit.
We got over 1,200 people watching right now. My dad is one of them. He said his comparison for Cam Ward reminds him a lot of Steve McNair.
I was gonna say Aaron McNair alone.
That's a good one. That is a very good.
I feel like it's kind of in between Jordan Love.
Well, if that's the case, then the Tennessee Titans will sprint that pick in, and there it is.
McNair was nasty, bro.
McNair was big. He oh man, Alcorn State, man. Aaron McNair. He was bigger though. Was he bigger than?
Yeah, he was
bigger
way
than
bigger.
Cam?
Yeah, he was big.
Cam's 6'2", about 220. I feel like McNair was bigger than that. Like, pretty significant. Let me look it up.
Like he was a big ass dude, man. I was gonna say I felt like he was in his 240s, man.
McNair, according to ESPN, was listed at 6'2", 230.
Can you imagine?
He was bigger than 230.
Can you imagine? Back then they had Wycheck at tight end that was huge. They had Eddie George that was a monster, and they had McNair. You had to tackle everybody. I hated playing. I hated Dyson. The Titans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Have Tennessee had a quarterback since him? Like a good one?
Vince Young.
I mean, Tannehill was decent.
Tannehill was
Collins, decent. But no, not really. They haven't had a franchise guy.
They 100% taking Cam Ward.
No.
Justin, I'll give you choice. You can go first this next one. Do you want to hear the comp for Jackson Dart, Jaylen Milroe, or Will Howard next? I'll let you choose because you're going to go first on this one.
Okay. Well, Milroe is my guy, so give me Milroe.
According to Thor Nystrom of Fantasy Life, his comp for Jaylen Milroe, Malik Willis.
No.
Nah, bro, we're not doing that.
No, and honestly, Malik Willis might be a better thrower than Milroe, but Milroe is I mean, Willis ain't running like Milroe.
Athletically,
No, they're not even close to being the same type of athlete. So they're both black, so we could say that. You know, that's a similarity.
Got the same build, a little bit.
But no, they I don't think that that's a good comp
at all.
You agree?
If you put Jaylen Milroe in terms of athleticism, he's more athletic than Bryce Young. He's way more athletic than Jalen Hurts. The only guy that I could comp coming out that has his athletic ability is Lamar Jackson. I think Jaylen Milroe will run a 4.4. If he ran one, I just think that, to me, the thing that scares me the most is I go back and I look at comps with Lamar Jackson. And they talk about the completion percentage, and they talk about the throwing mechanics, and they talk about, playing at Louisville. And it scares me because he kind of has the same type of numbers as Josh Allen had, where it was like, don't have a good completion percentage, hasn't played that much. When he does play, he has some wild plays, but he also has some plays that look bad. And it scares me because they said that about Hurts, they said it about Josh Allen, and they said it about Lamar Jackson. And this dude is electrifying, man. If somebody get a hold of him and he go to a camp or two, I'm telling you, Jaylen Milroe going in the second round. Don't think he's going to make it to the third. Jaylen Milroe going to be in the second round. I don't care what he did at the Senior Bowl.
You know what I think? First of all, y'all tripping because the Malik Willis, it's not that far-fetched. I mean, you got two guys that got big arms. Obviously, they got some mobility. It's not like Malik Willis is a turtle back there.
He's 4'6".
He's not 4'4".
No, but he wasn't slow, and he had that big arm. That's the same thing Jaylen Milroe got. Now, I will say on an athletic standpoint, as far as mobility goes, it's not even close. Lamar is the closest thing to him from a running standpoint. But as far as an arm talent, it's really not that crazy to say Malik Willis. Like Malik Willis,
that's the same. Malik can throw better.
I'm guessing that's where he's
got a better arm.
Yeah.
So I would say that if Jaylen Milroe, I'm with you. I think he will go in the second round. To be honest with you, McNuggets, if Cam Ward and Shador is taken in the first round, the Giants should take Jaylen Milroe in the second round because Dayball is a pretty good offensive mind. He'll be able to tear up his playbook because he did it with Josh Allen and be able to make something happen with the Jaylen Milroe. And you got Malik Neighbors, who's a burner. So I think those two actually would be pretty good together. That's a side story, though. But for Jaylen Milroe, it ultimately comes down to, again, just like the rest of these quarterbacks, do you have a guy that can put you in position to succeed? Are they going to make you go out there and throw the ball 50 times? That's not your game. No, you need to have a strong running game, because if you have a strong running game, boots and pulls is even more deadlier. Like, teams is already going to fear you. They're going to say, you know what? I don't know how good he can throw the ball, but man, with his legs, he's serious with his legs. Which then means you need a good running back to take the edge off, okay? Then what that does mean is now you got to be able to hit some of them short and intermediate routes. We already know you can do the deep ball route. That's fine. But the intermediate and short game is where you need to get better at. And I think with the right coach, they'll teach you how to get that ball out in a timely manner. But I also think that you got to have a good running game. But I think he'd be very successful in the second round. I know the Senior Bowl, everybody said his stuff is just not great, but the guy's an athlete, and as long as he has the will and the desire to be better, I mean, he has the intangibles to get it done. I mean, I think the deep ball, being very accurate on the deep ball is like the hardest thing to do, and he got that done. Like he's good at that, which is crazy. The other stuff, you just got to tweak. You got to get more touch on your ball. You got to take some stuff off or put a little bit more on here and there. And that's just all about touching. So I think that, you get with the right quarterback coach, I think they can help him out.
G, you go next. You want Jackson Dart or Will Howard?
Listen, since I brought Will Howard up before the Ohio State season, let's go with Will Howard. Let's go with Will.
This comp is not Mikey McNuggets comp. This comp is from Thor Nystrom of fantasylife.com. In the link, if you want to see it, his comp for Will Howard is Mason Rudolph. What say you?
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's disrespectful. Is what it is.
I mean,
Yeah, it
Not
really
my,
is.
listen, I
It's
did not do this.
disrespectful.
It's
You're
not
not really
mine.
going to do that, man. Shoot.
Mason Rudolph, like, Mason Rudolph played for Oklahoma
Mason
State.
Rudolph,
it was like
dude.
he never won no big games ever.
Yeah,
like
we'll get disrespected a lot. Like the guy was locked in for, I'd say after the Oregon game, he really started to look really good. And the way he played his last 4 games, like he played quarterback. Do you know he beat Dylan Gabriel, who everybody said was one of the best. Quinn Ewers, who everybody claimed was one of the best. Like he outdueled these guys, and yet somehow, some way, he's behind them in draft boards. That makes
for the record. Thor, the guy whose article we're going, has Howard ahead of Quinn Ewers, and his comp for Quinn Ewers is Kenny Pickett. So just so we're all on the same page here.
Okay, that might be a look. What? Kenny Pickett was a first round pick, so
yeah, late first round pick, and I don't know if anybody else was taking him in the first round. It did happen. It did.
Y'all gonna get mad a little bit. I feel like Will Howard remind me of Roethlisberger a little bit. Like he's big. Like Roethlisberger early in his career used to extend plays, and people used to just bounce off of him. They couldn't tackle him really, and then he would throw with this glove, and you're like, man, Ben Roethlisberger ain't really spinning it like that. But it always got to where it was going. He was always finding a way to extend and do these other different things. They leaned on the running game. He was fiery. Will Howard remind me a lot of Roethlisberger, like kind of where he's just, guys seem to like him. It's a lot to be said for somebody to come from another program, and then, at Ohio State, Ohio State has a cult. Like, people be playing for other schools, but Ohio State tatted on their body. Like, you came from Ole Miss. Why do you have an Ohio State tat? And you had it since freshman year. We don't understand that. They have a cult. They be having people. They be doing stuff on their own. We're going to go hang out on our own. We're going to go grocery shop. We're a family. And he came right in and was like, no, I'm the leader. And they won a championship game. That was crazy to do. Like, so I think people like him. He's a good leader. I think he more like Big Ben to me.
So that's not a bad comparison. I think he reminds me more of a more mobile Flacco, honestly. Can make all the throws. Can make all the throws that you're looking to see. And the reason why that's so intriguing, guys, is because I think when we talk about the type of quarterback that would fit Kevin Stefanski's system, you have to look no further than Joe Flacco and what he did for the Browns last season. Somebody who can play run the play action, can complete all the balls, who's got some mobility, right? I mean, that to me would make a lot of sense. I like Will Howard. I think Will Howard's going to have a chance to be a really good quarterback in this league. Kind of a late bloomer in terms of the NFL talk, right? I mean, because of the run they had in December and January, that has certainly put him more on the map now. And Tyvis, you hit it on the head, man. Look at all those dudes he beat. Those guys that everybody talked about for the entire year, for Heisman, for all these things, for NFL, whatever it may be. Quinn Ewers, I mean, he's like a forgotten dude after this whole thing. And he was the shit last year, going into the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Will Howard. I'm very intrigued with his prospects.
Will
breakdown real quick, Tyvis. The breakdown from Thor basically said he's a late blooming prospect, a little bit older, which was what Mason Howard was coming out, benefited from playing in a good system that made some of his reads easy. And the one thing he said that reminded him most of Mason Rudolph was, despite the fact he was able to deliver the ball in most circumstances, some of the lower body mechanics weren't up to par with where the upper ball and the placement of the ball ended up, which works in college, may not work in the NFL. So that was his reasoning for the comp. He said Mason Rudolph had the same issue coming out of Oklahoma State.
No, well, I mean, I think that Will's story is so great because he said that he learned the stuff he learned here was stuff he never heard of before. Like the way that
it was in that Bill Snyder program.
Yeah, he said no knock to Kansas State, but the stuff that I learned at Ohio State was stuff that I never heard at the quarterback position. So he was talking about how he never understood the term. Like he said, the guy is covered, and they like, no, he's open. He's like, what do you mean he's open? He's covered. He said, no, if you throw the ball here, he's open. So he's like, that's the first time he ever heard terms like that. And it allowed him to be better. And the crazy thing about him is this was his first year of technically real good coaching. And you watched him from what he was at the beginning of the season to where he was at the end of the season. That's two totally different Will Howards. So this is a kid that still is growing. It is imperative that he goes. He's not going to be a guy. He's not a day one starter. No. It's imperative that he goes to a good team with a good quarterback to sit behind and learn from. That's in a good offensive system. Like the 49ers. For example, just throw the 49ers out there. Say you don't want to pay Brock Purdy, you franchise, whatever. But he'll be behind Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, who's got a chip on his shoulder. Will has a chip on his shoulder, who everybody obviously didn't think highly of, but he got with Kyle Shanahan, who's a great offensive mind. And Kyle put him in situations, and they put the playmakers around him to be able to thrive. With Will Howard, the biggest question is, can you do that? Was it that the receivers made you good, or are you good enough to make the receivers good? Like, that's kind of the question, because there's no denying the talent that's at Ohio State. Obviously, in the league, it won't be the same. You'll have some guys. Everybody's talent is about the same. Can you still make those throws? And I guess that goes back to what the guy was saying in the report, with these mechanics being off, that might not get off. So it's up to the team that he goes to, the quarterback coach, to critique those things and continue to help him grow, because he has the ability to be a really good quarterback. He's a good leader. He can make the throws, but he just got to clean up some things. That's all.
Before we
real fast, guys. Will Howard, you know that he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, right? You know that, right?
Yeah, that's going to happen.
It sounds like something they would do.
They drafted him and that defensive end.
Sawyer, JTT. Before we get to the last one,
yeah,
I saw someone text in that Howard reminds him of Kirk Cousins. Do you see that at all, or no?
I see a more physical Ryan Tannehill before I see that.
Yeah, great call, G. Bush.
Yeah.
More, you know what I'm saying?
Last quarterback comp that we are going to get to today is Jackson Dart, who, according to the most recent mock drafts, could be climbing up into the first round. And our final quarterback comp from Fantasy Life, Thor's Nordstrom, is Jackson Dart to Gardner Minshew. The comp comes from similar size, not a howitzer when it's throwing downfield, subtle movements in the pocket to create space. And it finishes with basically, dude is an absolute gamer, tough as nails, will stand in there and take hits, mobile enough to get out of the pocket. But in terms of arm ability and mobility, he sees a lot of Gardner Minshew in Jackson Dart's game. G. Bush, what do you think about that?
I'm not a big fan of the Gardner Minshew. I feel like Gardner Minshew is like he's the quarterback that you just throw in at the end. He's always on the waiver wire. You're like, okay, let me just get Gardner Minshew and see if I can get me 12 or 13 points this week. I think Gardner Minshew is not a bad athlete. Let's get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I think he was running
2 years ago with the
2 years ago. He was running the read option all over us. So, Jackson Dart to me reminds me of like a more he's a more girthier version of Brock Purdy.
Girthy,
like girthier, like a little bit. Like he's not big, but he runs the ball. Like I've seen him pull the ball down and run plenty of times. Like that's part of his game that people don't be looking at. I think he has a better arm than Brock Purdy. I think he's a little more mobile in the pocket than Brock Purdy. He doesn't have a tremendous arm, but he got a good enough arm, and he's also has a little bit of. Let me say this. He reminds me of the Californian version of like Baker Mayfield.
He's got that moxie. I'll give you that,
bro. He got.
What do we mean California? Like California cool? Like that? That sort of like vibe, the aura.
He's the surfer version. He got the long hair.
Sunshine.
He get people excited. Like he celebrate with his teammates. He got a good arm.
Bass. What you saying?
What'd you say?
He like Ronnie Bass.
Yeah. He's like so. And when you look at it, I mean, Baker did go number 1. I'm not saying that like Jackson Dart gonna go number 1. He just remind me of like a dude that like he got some stuff. I just can't see it all. You see what I mean? Like it's just there. Like I can't explain it.
Well, the thing about him is obviously he was like a guy that impressed at the Senior Bowl. The only person that said he didn't like him was Zach Jackson. Zach Jackson came in and was like, But everybody else that was there, everybody, he was the hot name. I think y'all had Cynthia on yesterday, and she was talking about Jackson Dart a little bit, talking about if he was there in the second round, they'd take that pick, but he probably gonna go in the first round because NFL got him graded as a first round pick. My only thing is he has moments and he has games where it's like, man, this dude is nice. Like he
do what he wants,
passes. But then, like I say, it's some of the losses. It's some of the losses in some of those games that I'm just like, dude, what happened? Like, how did you go from throwing 300 to 400 yards in this game, but now you throwing for 190? Like, what is that? Like, one touchdown.
And there'll be games like the LSU games and the Bama games.
The
I've
Florida,
been looking for it.
It's like this is the moments that you're supposed to be rising up, and you lose these games. So to me,
2 of those games he was hurt, just FYI. But
were they?
Nothing to matter. Yeah, he had a pretty significant ankle deal going on like middle of the year. That I mean, I was watching. I was like, this ain't the same guy. Then you watch like what he did. Watch their bowl game against Duke, which is a really good defense.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, so like, okay, well maybe that's what it is then. He's a guy that he might do some Baker stuff. He's hurt, but he feels like he's the best option. So
no, he's gonna be out there. He's a tough cookie now.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't got no problem with that. Who would you say his comp was?
Gardner Minshew, who was also as tough as they come.
So Gardner Minshew. The thing about Gardner Minshew, did you know that his stats is similar to like his stats from like a couple years ago is similar to Trevor Lawrence? And the fact that Trevor Lawrence got paid a bunch of money and Gardner Minshew didn't. Like, did y'all notice that? No, the only reason I know this is because Sherm did like this whole podcast where he was like, Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence is the same guy. And he like put up all these stats. And I was like, well, they are pretty close. So I say all that to say, Jackson Dart, because I think Gardner Minshew is a guy that, although he's been a journeyman, he also has been like a spark plug. He's been like a Jameis. He goes to a place and he's a 1-year fix. I don't know how long term he would be, but he can get you through a season. With Jackson Dart, obviously that won't be the case. He'll go somewhere where he's not going to be the starter right away unless Pittsburgh takes him in the first round, which a lot of people are saying that could be a potential landing spot for him. Then he probably could be forced to play there. But I think that he'll sit for a year. But I think, to be honest with you, I think after Cam Ward, as far as standing in there, throwing some heat and making some good plays, the wild splashy plays, I think he's probably second in this draft. I will say that.
What was the exact question again?
Do you see the Gardner Minshew comp, or do you think that's?
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I see the comp. I mean, Minshew was what is he, a 6th round pick or something, or undrafted, whatever it was. Yeah. And that's why he didn't get paid, by the way, in Jacksonville. I mean, if he were, the number 1 pick, it'd have been a different story. But I can see that a lot. A lot of these air raid quarterbacks are very similar. I know like Lane Kiffin's not full air raid in that offense, but I mean, it's similar. Who's the other dude who came out of Ole Miss? Matt Corral was another guy that kind of ran that similar style.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of those quarterbacks. Yeah, Kelly, the nephew of Jim Kelly, was there too. I mean, they've got some guys. They've had some guys there that sort of fit that mold. I don't know, man. I'm of the mindset that there's going to be a player in this draft that's going to surprise everybody. And I don't know. It could be Jackson Dart in terms of like a guy that's going to be the 2nd overall pick, or like a top 10 pick that nobody's really talking about being a 1st round pick, especially from a quarterback position. So he could be that guy. I think that there's going to be some wild card stuff happen, especially in this 1st round.
Let's move on to our next topic. We're going to get back to some Shador standard stuff at the end of the show. Tyvis sent us a video this morning that has raised his red flag, at least in terms of one aspect of the pre-draft process. But before we do that, a quick reminder that FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of not just the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but of the NBA as well. And right now, new customers can bet $5, win $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. You can bet on the opening tip. You can combine bets in the same game parlay and even bet on fourth quarter comebacks. Just head over to fanduel.com/UCSS to join today. Like we said, new customers can bet $5, win $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Just head over to fanduel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Guys, we're going to talk Cavs now. There are 28 games left in the regular season. The second half, or proverbial second half, tips off Thursday night when the Cavs are on the road in Brooklyn. They come back home and take on the Knicks on Friday. But Dustin, take out the first 54 games. That is irrelevant for this conversation. Over the next 28 games between now and the end of the regular season, who do you think the Cavs' most valuable player will be?
Mobley.
Why Mobley?
I think he's the guy that has taken the biggest leap this season. And if things are going to be different as we end this year, which we all think that they're going to be, and they're going to have a chance in the postseason to really make a run, they're going to need Evan Mobley to continue to elevate his game, which has been unbelievable to this point thus far this season, like a completely different player. And I think that, he's one of those guys, especially, like the NBA season's long, right? And Mobley is still one of those younger guys who's still got a bunch of piss and vinegar ready to go for the end of this regular season. Like, they're going to need that energy to push them across the finish line into the playoffs. And I think Mobley is going to be the answer. We've talked about this for a couple of years. Like, when the Cavs finally get good, who's going to be their best player? And I think a lot of us for the last few years have said it's got to be Evan Mobley, and it wasn't. It was Donovan Mitchell, for the most part. And I'm cool with Donovan playing the way that he's been playing and continuing to dominate and be a great scorer and a great teammate. But to go to that next level, it's going to have to be Evan Mobley, at least my opinion, and I think he can do it.
Tyvis?
You said for the next 28 games, who I think
first 54 don't matter. Just in the
Okay.
next 28 games, who will be the Cavs MVP?
I think for the next 28 games, I think the Cavs. Obviously, everybody knows how I feel about Darius Garland. I'm not saying him though. So I'm taking my biases and putting it to the side. I'm going with Donovan Mitchell because I think Donovan has cruised this season, which has been great for him to sit back and trust his teammates to do their thing. But we haven't really seen Donovan be Donovan. Like, he's been shooting fine, but it ain't been that high consistent. The points he's flirting with 20, 21, 22 points. Like, it's okay, But I think with this 28 games, I think he wants to finish this season off on a heater, And I think he wants to get himself prepared to be in the playoffs, get in that playoff mode and that mindset. So I think I'll see him turn it up in this second half of this season. I think we'll see him get close. I'm not saying he's going to go back to like an MVP performing type of guy where he's going to win MVP, but I think he's definitely going to turn it up a notch because I think he's been very passive, these first 50 games of the season. I think that he's got to get back to who he is. I think he's did a really good job of trusting his teammates, but he's an alpha guy, and he's going to have to be that alpha even when the playoffs come. So I think he's got to get himself prepared for that, and I think that's why we'll see him be the MVP for these next 28 games.
G. Bush.
This is a little bit off schedule, but I'm just going to say it. It's DeAndre Hunter. What, man? I know what Donovan Mitchell can give me. I know what Darius Garland can give me. I know what Jared Allen is. And Mobley, I feel like he's playing with confidence. You'll still consider, see him ascend to where he's going to be. The thing, all I care about these last games is getting DeAndre Hunter acclimated and on the same page and on the same frequency and the same type energy that the rest of the team got. I need them to be going on bowling outings, cooking dinner. I don't know what they need to do. I go to church together, but I need them all hanging out because that's the key. They already had the squad. They was there. Like, they had their four match up with the four that the Celtics got. But when Porzingis came back, they showed another wrinkle that the Cavs had nothing for. They was posting, Porzingis was posting up. They had all the little guards all by his chin and elbows. He was just pulling up on us. We needed somebody that can combat that on the defensive end of the floor. And if Kenny Atkinson can do all of these things at once, all of a sudden Kenny Atkinson came in, and all of a sudden your boy Mobley can shoot threes and handle the ball. Kenny Atkinson showed up, and all of a sudden Darius Garland's floater is unstoppable. And he's cocky, and he talks, and he does all kind of gang sides. He shows gang signals now. He's a thug now. I like the thug, Darius Garland. Then you got Jared Allen. Listen, his fro is the same, but he started dunking on people. I said, where did you get this dunk package, Jared Allen? Now I need DeAndre Hunter. If they can get DeAndre Hunter to add something to his game, the Cavs is in there. Now the rotation is getting smaller too. Now we talked about it. You're gonna get Strus. Okoro, you better come back in a hurry because you might not be in that rotation, dog. I'm just letting you know that 28 is a sprint. So now everything is lining up. If DeAndre Hunter get lined up and start feeling good about himself, Cavs, it might be a problem, man. It might be a problem, McNuggets.
Gee, I love when you take a question, say, I don't care about the question. I'm going to give you a different question, and I'm going to answer a separate question. Because if the question was, who was the Cavs' most important player over the 28 games, DeAndre Hunter's the right answer. And Jason and I did an Ultimate Cavaliers show this morning. We did a draft of our top storylines for the final 28 games. And both of our number one picks was, how do the Cavs integrate DeAndre Hunter before the playoffs? So if it was most important, yes, DeAndre Hunter. The question was, who's the MVP of the 28 games? It won't be DeAndre Hunter. I think you can make a great case for Evan Mobley. I think you can make a great case for Donovan Mitchell, but I'm actually going to go with Darius Garland for this specific reason. Over the final 28 games for the Cavs, they have 5 back-to-backs, and they play 5 games in 7 days, 3 separate times. It is a gauntlet of a schedule before the playoffs tip off. And we saw it last season. It was after the All-Star break when Donovan tweaked his tendonitis in his knee on a free throw. Evan and Jarrett, they are going to be incredibly cautious with those two, not to overplay them so they don't pick up some sort of miscellaneous injury because, in my opinion, the number one thing for the Cavs is being as healthy as possible come playoff time. Donovan, who has already had his minutes cut, does not need any more runway to the playoffs on those back-to-backs and the 5 and 7s. I think he's going to get a little extra rest, which is going to come down to putting a lot of pressure on Darius Garland to be the catalyst of the offense on certain nights when Donovan and/or Jarrett and/or Evan isn't in the lineup. So far this season, he's answered that call almost every time he's been given the opportunity. He is having the best season of his professional career. I refuse to listen to any argument against that, despite the fact he had better numbers a couple of years ago. His clutch numbers are through the roof. He's the only guard in basketball in the 50-40-90 club. He is more than capable of running this Cavaliers offense without Donovan by his side. He's even better when Spite is in the lineup with him. And now figuring out how to incorporate DeAndre Hunter into the fold as the point guard, G, I think that's why Darius Garland is going to be the most valuable and, frankly, the second most important part of the Cavs' second half of the season here.
I like Darius Garland, man. Trust me. I was on him all last year, man.
Yes, you was.
I was on him all last year. He got a different game this year, bro. I mean, it's funny how you could tell they went to the All-Star weekend and they was real cocky. They was just walking around like Timothy, like him and Evan Mobley walking around. He was even cocky and he don't even say nothing. They asked Evan Mobley, "Hey, do you think the Cavs years?" He's like, "Yes, it's the Cavs year this year. I'm only 12 years old, but I'm good now." This cat Mobley, I'm like, when did you get cocky? I like the energy, man. I love it, man. We're gonna see who they got. When is the first game?
Thursday against the Nets.
On the road against the Nets, and then they're home
Nets and
Friday
Knicks
against
and Grizzlies.
The
Okay.
They got a tough stretch coming up.
I like that.
They got some tough games in the second half of the season here. They got Memphis twice. They still have Boston again. They have the Knicks twice, the Pacers twice. So they're going to figure out who their best 5 is against some of the best teams in the East. And it's good to get those tests now as opposed to finding out for the first time come the playoffs.
I like the Darius Garland answer, obviously. You know, if I was going to buy a jersey for a Cavs player, it would be Darius's.
You still under that age limit. You can't. You 35. You can't buy no jerseys. You might well get them in the next 4 years.
Nothing more Saquon.
A second. You got rules? You got rules on jerseys for
That's what somebody told me that if you older than the player, you can't buy the jersey.
It's tough. You can do a throwback. You get the throwback off. Like
there ain't no throwback Darius Garland jersey.
I know. So that means by default you're disqualified.
Are you saying like he's got to go with like throwback Mark Price, Daugherty, those kind of guys?
Old school dudes.
I want a DG jersey though. Like
listen, I'm a big Imani Bates fan. You know how crazy that look?
First of all, that's different. He don't play.
First of all, the jersey will be wide around the midsection. They're like, dang, G. Bush, that's the smallest Imani Bates jersey we've ever seen. I'm like, this is a 4X. Don't worry about it. Like,
well, you got
can't do that.
You got bigger fish. I don't have that problem.
Well, but you can't have no Darius Garland. That's like you saying I'm growing my hair out because Darius Garland got locks.
McNuggets said he got a Saquon jersey.
No, Dustin has a Saquon.
So I wore a Saquon jersey before the Super Bowl. Yes, I've got grown men's jerseys.
Here's the thing: Dustin gets a reprieve because of this. Dustin also comes from an era where he is two things: he is an athlete, he knows black people, but he's still white. He can theoretically go to a game and have a button up on underneath the jersey. Only white men get that off. There's never been one black man besides Billy Ocean who has ever had a button up on under the giveaway jersey.
I don't think a white guy's ever pulled that off either. I don't think that look has ever been good. White, black, Asian,
I'm a unicorn,
yellow, purple, whatever. That's
He's
just not
unicorn.
A good look.
Get that off.
No, you can get it. You got to be like 50 to do something like that.
They be in the corporate boxes. They be hanging out. They be drinking before the game. They be having the slacks on, and they're like, "Hey, that's one of our sponsors. That's one of our clients. It's Ken over there.
Garrett knows. Jersey. Garrett, you know, man, my closet's got depending on who I'm hanging out with. I got different sides.
He got the different section. Like, for real. I'm like, man, he'll come.
Are we hanging out? Oh, G Bush today. Okay, I go into the other closet.
You like, I'm hanging out with G Bush. I'm John B today. You
Justin,
didn't even know.
Do you have any basketball jerseys or just football jerseys?
No, I've got tons of basketball jerseys.
Yeah, I have no issue.
I've got tons of Cavaliers jerseys, LeBron jerseys.
Are they current players? Like,
do I have any current? Yeah. I've got
current Cavalier.
A current Cavalier. Actually, I don't think I've got a current Cavalier because all my stuff was back in 2016. I mean, I've got like Kyrie Irving, LeBron.
Kyrie too.
Them is throwbacks.
I guess now they're throwbacks. Yeah,
them is throwbacks now.
I was gonna pick up a Donovan jersey recently, and I have not, but I will before the playoffs. I promise you that.
By the way,
are you getting the city one? Or are you what color? Because I'm torn.
No, I'm a big fan of the white jersey with the wine lettering with the old school Cavs logo. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I like those.
I like that.
Yeah, the Max Fruit special.
Speaking of jerseys, before we move on, the white Luka 77 jersey is about to go Hall of Fame first ballot at frat parties for the next decade. That is going to be the single most popular jersey in the history of basketball frat party. It's gonna mirror like the Larry Bird Celtics and the Tyler Hero Miami Vice as the only other jerseys to go mega platinum at frat darties. So just be prepared to see
the white Lakers 77 jersey.
Yeah, the new with the Luka on the Lakers now with the purple letters.
Yeah, the purple and white.
Yeah.
It's about to go double platinum.
Yeah, just wasn't as big with Austin Reeves, was it?
Nope.
Didn't hit the same with Austin Reeves. By the way, I had a game we were going to play if we were in studio today called NBA Central or NBA Central, where I took tweets from Central. Do you guys know what NBA Central is?
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys all know.
Yeah, it's the knockoff thing.
Yeah.
It's a spoof account, right?
Every day.
Yes. And we were gonna do a game today and see if you could decipher what was a NBA Central tweet or what was from NBA Central. And I'll pull it back up at some point. But it was asked about at All-Star Weekend. Some reporter, I don't know who she was, but some female reporter was asking all the NBA players if they'd ever gotten centelled before. And a lot of them said they did. So I was gonna see if I could get you guys. So that's coming to a UCSS episode near you guys very soon. So
you see, you're too young, Mike. This is what we used to call you getting Uncle Chaps. You get chapped.
Yep. That was it.
I don't know
that. See, you're too young.
Foreign to me.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, Uncle
Let's
Chaps.
get to our next topic, guys. We're going to pivot back to the Browns. Simple question. G, I'll start with you. Is Kevin Stefanski's offense flexible? Does he adapt to his talent, or does he need a specific kind of quarterback to run what he wants to run? So the question is, in one sentence, is Kevin Stefanski's offense flexible?
Kevin Stefanski, I'll give him credit for this. He does the voice from Dune on all the media and the fans. He has the Jedi mind tricks. He can force, like, he can project force images, because if you listen to people, they will tell you and swear up and down that this offense is the holy grails to next level. It's the receivers and the quarterbacks. Just, this is what you need to be in. Actually, Patrick Mahomes need to go to this offense, because this offense is really where it's at. And you'll be thinking like, you know what? Damn it, yeah, they're right. This is the best offense I've ever seen, until you just snap out of it. And then you look around and you start looking through the numbers and you start looking at the names and the places, and you be like, why did I get fooled on this? I don't know how his offense is flexible, potent. I don't know what it is. Can you tell me, when you start asking questions, what is Kevin Stefanski's offense great at? Go.
I'm just the host. Tyvis or Dustin, this is a question to you. I just moderated.
I don't know. What is it?
We said, what is it great at?
What is it? Like he said, is it flexible? I threw the question like, hey, I don't know what it is, period.
So the offense is a under center offense, to where they run zone and then they run boots out of that. So not last year, it's 2 years ago. Play action, boots, throw over routes, run zone. So it's a very balanced offense. That West Coast, very balanced offense where you can run and pass. You said, what is it great at?
Well, Big Ten Network on me. Y'all
I'm trying to.
Yeah, man. He picked a different side of the closet there.
I'm trying to listen. I wear many hats, so sometimes they all intertwine. Sometimes I forget where I'm at, and they just kind of intertwine. But anyways, this is what was the question? Flexible?
Look,
fixable?
I told you.
What's the question?
Does he have a flexible offense? Does he adapt?
Flexible. So yeah,
does he run the same offense regardless of who his quarterback and talent around the quarterback is?
Well, if you take last year, you got to take last year and throw it out. Outside of that, he runs his offense no matter who the quarterback is. I mean, it's pretty much the same stuff. But I think that some quarterbacks like Joe Flacco, he was a little more pass happy. Little guy gave him a lot more passes, to where, and I think the reason that was because, was Nick Chubb healthy that year? Did Nick Chubb get hurt that year?
Nick Chubb was out.
So I think that led to it. So to me, I think that Kevin wants to be a balanced guy, but if his star running back is out, or they can't run the ball to the liking of him, then that's where he becomes more pass happy, and that's what makes it look bad. But I think for him to have a top 10 offense, it starts with that run game, has to be really good, like the running back position. That's why at some point in this draft, maybe even the second round, they need to take a running back that can be a home run hitter that defenses will have to worry about. Because if they don't have that, they run in there with Jerome Ford and hope that Nick Chubb get back to Nick Chubb, then we're going to look at the same. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You're going to have the same similar results. I think this year showed that this team is not built to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game. That's just not who they are. You have to 25 to 26 times in the pass and maybe 24 runs a game. That's where the Browns succeed at. And, as far as the quarterback position goes, we spend so much time talking about the quarterback, but the one credit that I will give him is that he did do well. He did make these quarterbacks, whoever it was, look serviceable while they were in there. It wasn't a lot of games when it wasn't Baker or Deshaun. It wasn't a lot of games that we was like, they lost because of the quarterback. It wasn't like that. Like if they lost, like the team just flat out got dominated. That's a whole nother story.
What about DTR?
Get him too. This is, wait a minute. I've told you, I'm not taking last year.
Oh, okay.
Not taking last year, I can't count the year before that with DTR because they did him filthy, like, which still rubs me the wrong way that they would play with somebody's career like that. But I ain't even gonna go down that road. But all the other quarterbacks outside of that, they were very serviceable. They were still able to get things done. And I think that's a big part of Kevin's offense.
Maybe Dustin could tell me something about the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I would say flexible. Sure, it's flexible. I mean, you have to be flexible if you've got 7 different quarterbacks that all have different skill sets that you've had to start in the last several years. So he's flexible. But does that mean that you're good at playing with these different offenses and different quarterbacks and skill sets? No. I think his ideal offense is one that's going to be, like Tyva said, based off of a lot of those zone running schemes, power, things like that, where it sets up the boot and play action. And the play action is when they were at their best. The 5-game stretch with Joe Flacco was as good as it gets. It is, I should say, as good as it gets since we've had Baker Mayfield, who also fit that style that Stefanski ran a lot of in Minnesota. I just think that you've got to look at where they're at now and how do they get back to that? Well, it's obviously the answer is they got to find a quarterback that suits more of that offense. Deshaun Watson did not. Deshaun Watson was going to be playing out of the spread, out of the gun. They were going to use his athleticism. Well, funnily enough, he didn't. He lost his athleticism and also lost his arm. So he couldn't do anything for Stefanski. So we don't really know how that offense was going to play out. But this upcoming year, they've got to get back to what Stefanski does best, and that is the 12 personnel. Go get you some big old tight ends that can block, beef up the offensive line, find you some running backs that can carry the rock, and then get a quarterback that can execute those things. A lot of people think that, Shador would fit that role. I mean, we'll find out, but to me, that's the ultimate answer. I don't know that I even gave you an answer, to be honest with you. I kind of danced around it, but they want to run play action pass, period. So find the quarterback that can do it the best.
To run play action, you got to have linemen. To run play action, you actually got to be able to block somebody. So you got to actually be getting those 5-6 yards a crack. I will also say it's a little bit disheartening that the highest version of Baker Mayfield that we saw was in this offense, but he is now sent it to another level. Do we agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Baker is better than he was when he was here. So my thing is,
wait. I
mean, he's giving me 2 years. We didn't see that Baker.
Wait a minute. He got some talent over there too.
I've been trying to get people to get receivers over here for 35 years. They just won't do
it.
They
did. They tried with Odell and Jarvis.
No, they ran those guys out of town.
They did do that. that happened too.
We had Kareem Hunt in his prime, and we were like, no,
what
we're
I was
at the same time.
Well, the thing is, what Odell's father was trying to say was, Baker could have had them numbers a long time ago if he threw that ball.
But I'll say this for Stefanski. Stefanski, I'm gonna tell you this: it's bad for you because I'm holding you to the Bo Nix Accord. It is a treaty that we signed amongst fans and media that said we thought Bo Nix was played 8 years of college football. He retired from college and went to the pros. Bo Nix was not supposed to do nothing. They had no weapons. They were cap strong. They gave away Russell Wilson, and in 1 year, they not only beat the Cleveland Browns, they went to the playoffs. So whoever you get, I need to see you coach somebody up. I'm not saying you got to make the playoffs, Kev, but whoever you bring in here, they better look competent. They got to look like something, because you got the number 2 pick. You got multiple threes. You got a bunch of runway to get it done. You're going to have your pick of the litter. But I need you to at least have this dude coached up where it looked like that we can get us a Bo Nix or something, where it's like, oh, man, we got a quarterback. At least we can roll with that. That's what I want the upside for the offense to be. Then I will say it's flexible, but it's now. It's Minimowski to me. No run game, no pass game.
Any rebuttal to that, Ty?
What, that is Minimowski? I wouldn't say that.
Just G's more big.
No, G's not wrong when he talks about. First of all, Bo Nix played a lot of football. He played 2 careers in college. He played a whole career at Auburn and a whole career at Oregon. So that's the guy that played a lot of football. Then he went and got with a great offensive mind like Sean Payton. And Sean Payton, although they might have not had all the talent around him, Sean Payton understood what his what his strengths were, and they played to his strengths. The same thing I continue to say with any quarterback in any draft. If you get with the right coach, you will be a successful quarterback.
Hold on. Let me call time out on that. I want to focus on what you just said right there.
There it is. There you go,
At number 2, the Browns have a chance to draft a quarterback. Do you think Kevin Stefanski can be the type of coach or could be a coach that a rookie quarterback comes into and then flourishes?
So that's a tough question. Honestly, the honest answer is no, because of the simple fact that the only time we got to see him have a young quarterback was DTR, and DTR looked like a deer in the headlights. But I also know that DTR did not practice with the ones that week, so that's why he looked the way that he looked. And I would say before he got hurt, he finally in that Denver game looked like he would maybe started to look pretty good. Then I thought about this year when he had his starts, it also didn't look good. So to me, and DTR is a guy that played 5 years of college ball. So to me, that's where it gets scary. And then it goes back to what I was telling y'all last week. I think what it's not necessarily Kevin that can do a great job coaching, but I think the hiring of Musgrave and Tommy Rees, because I tell you, it's something there with the disconnect between what he wants from his quarterback and what we're actually getting. So I think the collection of those 3 coaches could get a young quarterback to play really well. Because if you think about the quarterbacks that Kevin succeeded with the Browns, Baker's already been in the league for years. Jacoby Brissett was already in the league for years. Joe Flacco for years. All those guys played a lot of football, so they understood it. When we talk about a young guy, the only 2 young guys that I've actually seen that's remotely young is DTR and what's the guy they played in the last game of the season? From the
Jeff Driscoll?
Oh
no. From the Patriots. We get
Zappy.
Oh, Zappy.
Zappy. That's the only 2 young guys that I've seen, and both of them didn't look that great. So that's how I know that there has to be some type of disconnect there. But maybe with Tommy Rees and Musgrave, maybe that changes, because I think those guys would be more hands-on and explain to them in a way that they understand. So to answer your question, no, I don't believe that Kevin by himself can have a quarterback to play. Rookie quarterback, I should say.
Dustin, what do you think about that particular part of it? Can Stefanski be a coach that takes a rookie quarterback in and it's the right situation for the said rookie quarterback, as opposed to the numerous times we've seen over the last 20, 30, 40 years? We've talked about it with you on the show about going into the wrong situation. So how do you feel about Stefanski specifically in terms of being the right guy for a young quarterback or being the wrong system?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've got no problem with Kevin Stefanski as a coach, as a person, as a quarterback coach at all. I mean, I think that he can work with anybody. I think he's a good communicator. I think he's a likable guy that whoever they draft, and assuming it's a rookie quarterback comes in here, is going to be able to work with him. The good thing I would say about this year, more than maybe any year he's been here, is I do believe that he's going to have his hands on this like he's making pottery, man. He's in there just kind of molding this whole thing, because this is it, guys. If he doesn't do it this year, it's never going to happen. He's never going to have this opportunity again. Yeah, sure, he may go on to be a head coach somewhere else, but like this is it. Like he basically said to the world, okay, look, you want me not to call plays? Okay, go ahead, go do your thing. Didn't work out. Almost like he called their bluff. Like, okay, and then now he gets to call plays again. He gets to pick his quarterback. So if anything, if we think Kevin Stefanski is a good coach and has a chance to be the coach here in Cleveland that takes them to the playoffs again and the AFC title game and the Super Bowl, Lord willing, all those things, well, then we better have trust that he can find this quarterback and turn him into a good player. Because if he can't, then why the hell is he here? So I've got confidence in him, and I think that this is going to be the year where we find out what Kevin Stefanski has in him.
Listen, I watch Chopped all the time. I like food shows, and I love how they go on Chopped, and you get these chefs and everything, and they be going through the grocery store, and they be like, here's the mystery basket of the day. You got to make a dish with like ribeye steak and whatever you want to make with it. And these chefs be going through and they be finding Twizzlers, cookies, and old ramen noodles and making 5-star dishes out of this. And they be eating it and be looking judges be like, this is tremendous. If you a chef and you get access to a grocery store, bro, you feel like as a Michelin star chef, I can make it any dish that tastes good in here. It don't matter what it is. I'm that guy. And if you are a coach and you have a draft class, if you're a quarterback whisperer, a true quarterback whisperer, like an Andy Reid, you feel like if I got a high enough pick, I can turn anybody at quarterback into something. Look, hey, listen. Hey, Andy Reid said I had Alex Smith. He was balling. I got Michael Vick out of jail. He was balling. I had Donovan McNabb, not Mitchell. He probably can make Donovan Mitchell good too. He was balling. I got Pat Mahomes at 11, balling. Listen,
Alex Smith.
Shanahan do the same thing. He had your boys over in Cleveland looking good with no receivers. No receivers in Cleveland.
Whoa, no receivers? He had
none.
He had
no backs either.
What's the
terrible backs? Terrence West.
What's the best receiver in
Terrence
Cleveland?
West.
What's the best Cleveland receiver?
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon.
I mean, he had to do best, right? Who was the dude? Was he still there? The guy that he had the receiver from Y with the dreads.
Devon Best.
Devon Best.
That's the dude that had the mental breakdown in the airport.
Yes.
And he was cooking.
He was great.
He had Evan Moore.
Filthy slot receiver in Madden.
So either way, Tyvis, when you're that guy, you can make a quarterback look good. Sometimes that's why people get fooled. That he's so good with quarterbacks that you be like, hey, he ain't even that good. Don't sign him to a free agent deal. He wasn't that good. That's the Sam Darnold experiment. But listen, he has an opportunity to get this off right now. He got the number 2 pick. Like Dustin said, I'm excited to see it because now he got all the skin in the game. He could do whatever he wants. If they go up there and he get 3 straight quarterbacks, I love it. You know why? Because at least I know you can't run from it now. You picked him. You coached him up. Live with it.
Any final thoughts before you guys want to move on? Or has that wrapped up the flexible offense for the Browns topic?
You couldn't say the same thing about DTR. They picked him.
Oh, I that was a strike against them. What do you mean? I used the DTR as a strike.
4th round.
That's a strike, bro.
He was a 5th round.
Whatever.
All right, we're going to move to our next topic. A quick reminder that FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of not just the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but of the NBA as well. And right now, new customers who join FanDuel.com/UCSS can bet $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. You can bet on the opening tip. You can bet on player points over unders. You can bet on rebounds, 3-pointers, you name it. FanDuel's got it. And if you go to FanDuel.com/UCSS and sign up now, you can bet $5. If that bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. So head over to FanDuel and become part of America's #1 sportsbook. It's also the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, guys, the Cavs have not made a buyout signing yet, and they have a few more days, and I don't know the exact date that it has to happen by, but they only have 13 active players on their roster. They have to get to a minimum of 14 coming up soon. So for the sake of this conversation, let's assume they're not going to get a buyout guy. There could still be some movement on the buyout market. They could end up signing a big, but for the sake of this, let's assume that's out of the equation. The only other way they can meet that 14-player roster minimum requirement is to convert one of their 2-way contracts into a full-time NBA contract. That could be Amani Bates, G. It could be Luke Travers. It could be a Naquan Tomlin who had 35 and 10 the other day. G, I'll start with you. If the Cavs are going to convert a 2-way player into an NBA contract, is Amani Bates the right guy to do that with?
I recuse myself from this conversation. I am biased. I don't think I'll be able to deliver anything of noteworthy that would be I actually just above board. I just have to recuse myself. I'll let Tyvis and Dustin go. You already know where I stand. You already know where I'm at with this.
Oh my!
Ty, we'll come back to G then. Amani Bates, Luke Travers, Naquan Tomlin, the 3 most likely candidates to get converted. if it was up to you and you were running the Cavs, would Amani Bates be your choice in this instance?
I mean, I think that, anytime that we go up big in games, Amani Bates is like one of the first guys that we don't see that gets in the game between him and Craig Porter Jr. So obviously we know the offensive skill set is there. I think that if you had to convert one of them, I would say he's probably the closest because he has the highest upside out of all of those guys. And maybe just having them more around the team and, more up, maybe that'll groom him more into, making him more of an NBA player to be able to contribute on a night-to-night basis. So I guess out of those three names, I guess I would probably go with him. But I know he's not going to give me the defense and things like that. Like, he's not going to fulfill the extra big that we need, but maybe that's why you went and got Hunter, maybe because Hunter can do those things and maybe you can get away with it, for a little bit over the playoffs, and you hope that Dean Wade stay healthy. It's not a guy that we're going to be needing in the playoffs. Like, none of those three guys you name is going to be guys that, in the playoffs, game 7, put Amani Bates in. Like, I don't think that's – or Luke Travers or any of them. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think that certainly this is a guy that obviously if he's still developing and still growing and you're seeing him take leaps and bounds, then reward him with that and show him that you want him around here. You see him as a future of the Cleveland Cavaliers and reward him with the contract.
JT Thor is another option too. I should have mentioned him earlier. I did not. But JT Thor also a two-way guy who can be converted if the Cavs choose. Dustin.
He had one of the coaches.
I mean, listen,
last year.
Listen, none of these guys are going to make a difference for the postseason or for the run. Bates is the one guy that has, I think, upside, especially on the offensive end. I mean, the guy's just scored 33 in the G League, a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. So I would like to get him up just to have him around the guys to experience that run. You know what I mean? One of those things. It's almost like the what was the guy's name? How can I forget his name? Jetty Osman. Remember when Jetty came up with LeBron and was just around those guys? Didn't really play, but experienced it, and then it helped him throughout evolving and maturing as a player. So I just think having someone like Bates around would be good for him personally in his development and growth as a player.
All right, I recuse myself. I'm ready to go.
All right.
So listen. Amani Bates, listen, he has a skill set. He has an upside. He's an offensive player. The problem where you see what Amani Bates' game is, he has to learn to get that within the flow of the offense, right? So for him, when he get on the court, there's certain levels of green light, right? Donovan Mitchell got the green light. Darius Garland got the green light. Evan Mobley got the green light. But Jared Allen don't got the green light. But Amani Bates operates as if he has the unlimited green light at all times. And coaches in the league ain't gonna tell you don't got the green light. You'll just see red lights when you're sitting on the bench. You're like, dang, I can't get in, but I have 40. So for him, what we gotta learn to do is become a scorer with inside the team frame, right? Also, his game was all the way out of here. When he got hurt, that the first part of the season, that's when you acclimate yourself and the coach get a chance to see you in training camp. When you miss that many years, they moved on, and they're looking at who's going to fit my rotation right now. So he was never going to get no tick this year. I am with Dustin. The best thing that could happen for him is for him to get put on the roster because he can see how guys go work. If he want to play, he should be up underneath these veterans he should be figuring out, okay, I need to be by Donovan. He should be figuring out, and he got to have one more thing. You can't just score. That's why Matt McClung is not in the league. You can't just score. You got to give me something else. And so that means you got to be able to be a rebounder, a guy that could distribute, a guy that's going to play extremely hard, or you're going to have to be such a great scorer that you don't never miss. And they'll be like, all right, we got to put him, he ain't missed in 3 weeks. But think about it. That didn't even happen to what's the name? Was Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome was unconscious, and even his minutes waned back and forth. So that's the life as of a bench guy. So look, he's going to have to get with these guys. The best thing that can happen is that they put him on the roster and he can learn to be around other guys and be a professional as playing within structure, but still being able to be who he is and still play his game. So that'll be a big role and big notch for him. It's like this when you used to play in high school, Dustin. You know what I'm saying? You was a freshman. You was dressed in JV though.
Oh yeah,
you dressed JV. You dressed.
I got to dress varsity one game as a freshman. It was an experience.
Yeah, the game is quicker. People, you learn how to. Here's how the pregame routine is. Here's how you need to, get your shots up get your shots up afterwards. So he need to find him a buddy. and go and be in his ear like, yeah, this is what I need to do, believe, and that's the quickest way you're gonna play McNuggets. You tell me if I'm wrong. You the basketball guy. That's my assessment.
I'll get to Amani Bates in a sec, but there's a bigger point of this that we're all missing. If they convert a guy, any of these two-way guys, to a full-time NBA contract, that means whoever they convert is going to be a fixture on their roster, on their legitimate NBA roster for the next 2 or 3 years. I forget exactly how long the contract is. And in today's second apron world, those minimum contracts are gold. There's a reason Kobe Altman was basically unwilling to part ways with Jaylen Tyson in any kind of trade discussion. Why? Because he can contribute and he's making $4 million a year. Craig Porter Jr. was apparently off the table in trade conversations. Craig Porter Jr. is a fine player. He's not in the Cavs playoff rotation, but why don't you trade a guy like Craig Porter Jr.? He's making the league minimum and can give you valuable minutes. And as other guys get their extensions kicking in and become a second apron team, and it's harder to move guys around, those contracts are literally like gold bricks. So whoever they convert here is a guy that the Cavs have to hope can fit within the framework of their team for the next 2-3 years. And at the 1.2 or 2.1, whatever the minimum salary is, can contribute in some capacity. I'm not saying Amani Bates can't contribute. I'm not saying Naquan Tomlin can't contribute. I'm not saying JT Thor can't contribute. But when I look at the 4 options for this question, Luke Travers is the guy that makes the most sense for me to convert from a 2-way contract into an NBA full-time contract because of the versatility he offers. We talked about wings without size, G. He's a legit 6'8", long arms. Not a great athlete, but a decent enough athlete. And he's one of the guys that's always in the right place at the right time. He's more of a connector than a star. And when you're playing on any team with Donovan, Darius, Evan, 3 All-Stars, plus Jared Allen, former All-Star, plus DeAndre Hunter, ringer top 100 player, plus Ty Jerome, plus Max Strus, plus whoever else they put in as the other backup big, there aren't going to be a ton of shots to go around. Can you envision a world in the next 3 seasons where the Cavs are ever running offense through Amani Bates? I don't see it, because of the other options on the team. So it's going to be who can be a 5th guy in a lineup, who can get us 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Luke Travers in his last game with the Charge had a 25, 12, and 10 triple-double, showing some of the passing skills, some of the rebounding skills that we haven't seen from some of the other G League candidates in this conversation. So I know when he's gotten into NBA games this season, Luke Travers has not performed to the level the Cavs, frankly, had hoped he would at this point. But you can say the same thing about that with Amani and the other guys, JT Thor included, when they've gotten minutes. Even though Thor's minutes in garbage time have been a little more productive than the other two, the point remains the same. So I would convert Luke Travers as the guy to get that 14th roster spot. None of them are going to play this season or contribute in any meaningful way. But if you are looking over the next 3 years, I think Luke Travers fits in as the connector with the core 4 plus assembled pieces, as opposed to a guy like Amani, who probably has the highest upside of the group. But you need to run an offense for Amani. Well, Amani is yet to show us he fits into an offense, unlike Luke and Naquan and JT Thor.
What is Luke's measurables?
I'll pull it up for you right now, but he's tall as hell. Like, he's one of those guys that when you stand next to him, he's listed at 6'8", 210.
And Amani's what, 6'8", 6'7"?
According to Basketball Reference, Amani's way bigger. He's put on some legitimate muscle. Amani is listed on Basketball Reference. He's listed at 6'10", 170. There's no way he's 6'10". I've been around Amani enough to know he's not actually 6'10".
6'10", 275.
He's put on some real muscle.
You said he was 6'10", what?
275.
All right, he's listed on ESPN at 6'8", 170. He was on Basketball Reference at 6'10", 170. I'm going to say Amani's about 6'8", 185, 190. He's gotten bigger. Legitimately, you can see the improvement in his body with the work he's put in this offseason.
Yeah, he still shoot from half court too. I seen one of them games shoot from half court. I said, bro, this dude's unconscious, bro. Pulling up with a straight face. Like,
listen, he don't even think about it. It's
straight.
Let's go.
No
I got
remorse.
a tweet this morning from Christian at Always Humble 29. I want to read this tweet real quick. What was the point of drafting Emoni Bates if he doesn't get a chance at all? I'm not understanding this. Why would you draft a guy if you're not going to give him a shot? Second round picks are so hit or miss in the NBA. Like, I was looking at the 2024 draft class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 second round picks from this most recent draft class have yet to play in a single game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 others have played in fewer than 10 games. And only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And only 5 have played in 40 or more games. Second round picks sometimes get a chance, sometimes don't. The Cavs are already playing 12 guys on some nights. I don't know where you find minutes for 13. So, you guys, did you had any issue with Emoni not getting more? And he's coming off injury, which is another big part of this. You guys had an issue with Emoni not getting maybe a fair shot this season, considering how good the Cavs have been and how deep the rotation's been?
Man, listen, I can see. I was on a deep dive with Matt McClung. He was the MVP of the G League. He averaged 26 a game.
Yo, he can hoop. That's my guy, by the way.
He can. Matt McClung is not just a dunk guy. He averages 26. He averages like 6 and 7. Like, the dude, like, and he's efficient. So, like, but the thing about the league and the G League in general is people get caught up in the G League. Like, it's a numbers game, and you got to realize you have to do something more than what you're good. Like, you got to be a two things creature. You got to be like, I can shoot and I can D up. I can play defense plus I rebound. Emoni Bates does not, for his size, does not rebound the basketball at a high enough rate. If you're talking about playing, you got DeAndre Hunter. He shoots just as good as Emoni Bates. And he's bigger, he's more physical, and he plays defense. So if you're giving out minutes to people, like, the minutes come to people that can give you something. And coaches would rather have somebody that fits into their scheme that could do something that they're not getting. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they got everybody that can score. Like, they got multiple. Max Strus is coming off the bench. He can score. Karis LeVert, they just got rid of Karis LeVert. He can get 50 off the bench. So you're not going to get that opportunity. You have to do multiple things. So, no, I don't see a problem with him not playing.
I think Emoni Bates probably going to be one of those players that have to go somewhere else to play because the Cavaliers are so good and the guys that's above him is so good that it's just going to keep him out of it. I think that he would have to go to a worse franchise, like the Pelicans or something like that, who needs a guy who's like, you know what, let's put this guy in the game. And when he gets that opportunity, he has to shine in that opportunity to make himself stick out. But right now with the Cavaliers, like, it's so many good guys in front of him right now that, like you said, it's so hard to get him minutes. So Emoni Bates might be one of those guys that, although, G is high on him, and even me, I want to see him play, and I think he's a really good player. I just don't think that it will be with the Cavaliers. I think it'll be somebody else.
Don't let the Thunder get him. Don't let the Thunder.
The Thunder play defense so differently than the rest of the league, G.
Emoni Bates can go to a team that they don't like. They go to a team, they don't care about defense. Like, they'll be like, listen, he'll get one of them teams and get them minutes, and they'll be like, who is this kid?
Emoni Bates can play 20 minutes on Charlotte right now. Like, he'd be a perfect.
No problem.
Facts.
So I have 2 buddies that work in the NBA, and one of them loves Emoni Bates, G. I texted you about it.
Yeah.
And said he's like, if I ever get a chance to acquire this dude, I would go out of my way. I think he's special. I have another one who thinks he's unplayable, which goes to show you the spectrum of the Emoni Bates experience. The same guy who thinks he's unplayable had an undraftable grade on Emoni. The guy who loved him thought Emoni falling to the second round was a complete miss by the NBA, which goes to show. And two different teams, two totally different worlds. The spectrum on Amani ranges from this dude has all-star potential to this dude cannot play. And it's going to be up to Amani to make the most of his opportunities because it's a crowded rotation for the Cavs. And I was just looking up. Per 36 is not a perfect number by any means. So take what I'm going to say with a gigantic grain of salt, right? However, Amani's only played in 7 games this season. He's only played 27 minutes total. So it's a tiny sample size. But in 27 minutes, per 36 gives everyone the exact same. If you play fewer than 36 minutes, it averages it up. If you've played more, it averages it down. How many shot attempts do you think Amani Bates is averaging per 36 minutes if he were to play starters level minutes in the NBA? Once again, tiny sample size. He's only played 7.
I think I know this. Like he would be shooting, like from what I've been seeing, like because we made a joke. I said, bro, he coming in, he's pulling. I'm saying he would get like 22 shots.
Right now, according to Basketball Reference, his per 36 minutes, he is averaging 18.7 field goal attempts per game. He's averaging 14.7 3-pointers per game, shooting 14% from the floor and 18% from three.
Yeah.
However, he is averaging 5.3 assists per 36 minutes.
Oh, okay. He can let the ball out his hand. Okay.
He been passing it and
That
getting right
boy,
back.
that boy ain't never seen the 3 he didn't like, boy.
If you want more minutes, you have to play well in the minutes you get. Amani this season and coming off injury, which plays a huge role in it. And I mentioned him putting on more size. Like that changes the way you shoot a basketball. It really does.
That's why Kevin Durant never did it.
That is partially the reason why Kevin Durant never wanted to get bigger. I'm serious. Like it really does have an impact on
Giannis can't. That's why Giannis can't shoot. Giannis actually could shoot threes coming out, and then he got big, and he can't really shoot no more.
You know what I
now,
respect,
now Amani's
though?
trying to work out the in-between. I'm bigger, more physical, can handle more contact, but I also got to figure out my jump shot. So I'm not selling all my Amani stock, but it's not been a great sophomore season for him thus far.
You know what I could respect, Dustin? I can respect the fact that if you put like the most delusional shooters in the world, like Carmelo's delusional, Steph, Clay, Kevin Durant, I think Devin Booker's delusional.
James
Like
Harden.
if Amani Bates was like in the gym, he would be like, "Oh no, I'm open. I'm shooting that. You can't shoot better."
Yeah, give me the ball.
He literally tell the Slim Reaper, like, "No, let's go the best out of 10 from half court." And with a straight face, might win.
Yeah, he can shoot.
Listen, oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has. If you were to play pickup with Amani Bates, you might win 12 games in a row and hate him at the end of it. Because he can make any shot on the court and he could get red hot. You may not get the ball more than once or twice a game. Like that's how he plays basketball right now.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Dad. I can't play with
That's
him.
funny.
I can't play with him. I'm not. What am I? I'm out here for cardio? No.
Yeah,
Give me
you
the
just did
field.
cardio. And got the nerve to tell you to fight over the pick and roll a little stronger. That's your man. That's your man, Amani. You can't tell me to fight over the screen. That's your man.
Now, Amani has a bright future. It's just tough. They're already playing 12 guys. Like there isn't an unrealistic number of guys that can get actual minutes in an NBA game at once. And I don't know.
Look,
who are you playing him over is the question I'd ask people.
2026 is his year. The 2026.
He'll pull 20 shots a game and then tell you, get back on defense. Hurry up.
I was playing with a guy last night like that, and I'll send you guys the text afterwards. I don't know who watches and who listens.
You want to see me get mad? If I'm standing there, you look me off, and then you tell me, "Hey, get back on defense." What are you talking about?
Clapping your face like this. You clapping your face like this. Hey, bro, come on! Don't do me like that. Don't do me that. And don't be trying to huddle around the free throw line like this. Hey, come in here, guys. We got to get it. No, we don't. We don't have to do anything.
I gotta go.
Man, I used to hate playing with those guys, man.
I gotta hoop again, man. I gotta hoop again.
At least playing with those dudes, man.
At least in tennis, you got to have a partner. You don't do random mixed doubles with people. Like you got to go out to eat with people before you play tennis with another man. Like that's a sacred thing. Like y'all know each other. Like I got you here. pickup basketball be different. Like it'd be like, man, come on, bro. You're listen, stop trying to. And how do you know automatically in a pickup game? This is why the game is terrible now. Do you know that you have to actually know the rules of engagement like I don't like when people just start dribbling, bro. You're not the guard. You're not the point guard. You can't dribble. You know if you brought the ball up before. We see it. Please give the rock up.
You guys know, before we move on, how did that move? Oh, sorry. You guys know Ethan Sands from Cleveland.com, right?
I didn't know
Yes.
I could do that. Look at that.
I brought Ethan a pick. We needed one more last night, so I brought Ethan with me, and he saw my frustration with an individual who was playing like that last. I just sent you a text of this, a screenshot I sent my boys. I very rarely get angry during pickup.
Oh.
It doesn't matter, and this is just random pickup, but holy crap, sometimes you get paired up with someone that you can't stand whatsoever, and it makes playing basketball so much fun.
7 for 105.
That might be being generous, bro. It was
and then walks back on defense after an air ball.
It was bad. Ethan was there last night.
Hey, listen, he
I
gets
was saving his ass. We won 5 games in a row. No thanks to him. So
he might get disinvited.
That might be his first. He might not have hooped it all. You know what's funny is that I did that before. The last time I played, it was like a whole 2 years since I hooped. And I couldn't make a shot. But yet I played. But the crazy thing is I never got scored on. Anybody I checked did not score.
Ty, I know this kid, that's not the situation because I saw him on Sunday at our men's league. And I saw him last Monday at the same pickup. So he certainly played. He just asked.
There should be never a reason. There should never be a reason that defensive backs get scored on in basketball.
Oh, bro.
It was clamps.
It was clamps.
Y'all should lock everything down moving. Like there is no and they got to dribble. Y'all supposed to be
Angie, I'm 250 now, so you can't even take me to the cup no more. Like I'm a statue. Like stop it.
All right, we got to get to our last topic of the day here. Tyvis, you had sent us this clip in the group text this morning, and you were not on the show when we kind of touched on this a little while ago. So I'm going to play a clip. This is from Shador Sanders Media Company of Shador talking about his video game style. So it's 36 seconds. Take a listen.
Who you play with? I don't even play Madden. I can play Madden.
You know who I play with?
See, I can play with anybody though. He can only play with one team.
What team?
Brown.
Okay.
That's the only team.
Okay. I like how
Boy getting ready.
I like how they move around, bro.
That's the only team he can play with.
That boy getting ready.
Anybody else, it's trash.
I like how they move around on there. I like the setup. I'm about to get on the podcast. I'm just finishing my.
He only plays with the Browns, Tyvis. I did some research. The Browns quarterback on Madden's a 72. They have no playmakers with speed. Jerry Jeudy's the only possible option.
What are you talking about? Move around well. They move around well. What?
Yeah. So, Ty, you had texted us that you're a little dubious. This feels a little fishy that Shador is publicly flirting with the Browns as hard as he has been the last couple of weeks. Why is this kind of raised your antenna? And I don't want to say raised the red flag, but at least got you alerted to the fact that something's not adding up about the Shador Sanders Cleveland Browns initial attraction thus far.
Because it doesn't make sense to me. For a guy who says that, I feel like I'm the best quarterback in this draft, because that's pretty much what everybody thinks. If you feel like you're the best quarterback in this draft, why not the Titans? Why aren't you telling the Titans, hey, I'm the number one, I'm the best player here. You should be drafting me, not Cam, or you should be drafting me, not Abdul. Like that to me is fishy to me, and I think that, going through the process, unless the Browns have already come out and said, we're taking you with the number 2 pick, like to me, it's always about everybody's always like, I want who wants me. I want to go to the right situation, things like that. But they never really specify a specific team, because obviously, how things go, where people, go different options, different ways, and for him to continuously say hey, Cleveland this, Cleveland that, Cleveland this, Cleveland that. Don't get me wrong. As a Cleveland friend, I love that. I love the fact that you don't mind coming to Cleveland. You know, it's been so much smoke in the air about how he wouldn't want to come to Cleveland. So I respect all of that. But I just think it's weird because, like, I don't know, like going through the process, like you would know, like you kind of get the vibe of if a team is feeling you or not. And the fact that he continuously keeps saying Cleveland's name, Cleveland this, Cleveland that, and not Tennessee, like that to me is just kind of weird to me. Because I feel like if I feel like I'm the best player, then I want to be the number one pick. You know, so that to me is why it's always weird to me. And maybe he ain't getting the love from Cleveland like they thought, or maybe somebody has given him some information, and you know, maybe they're saying like these quarterbacks really aren't that great, and you know, maybe teams are saying you know, these quarterbacks really aren't that great. So now it seems like he's doing the recruiting to where usually it's vice versa. So it's weird. It's I guess to me it's fishy because it's something that I've never seen before. So therefore, the fact that I've never seen it makes my antennas go up.
Dustin?
Yeah, it's weird because they are the number 2 pick, and it's almost like, are you trying to sell the Browns on this idea? Are you trying to sell the Browns on drafting you number 2? Because in the past, the Browns have, I mean, whether you believe it or not, have been sold on ideas. You know, we've had stories about, you know, the homeless guy told us to draft Johnny Manziel. Like, is this like just trying to persuade them into having more interest than they may have currently? I mean, certainly possible. It also makes you wonder, like to Tyvis's point, like why are we not trying to sell our deal to Tennessee? Maybe you're like, okay, I know I'm going to be there at 2, and if I don't go 2 to the Browns, I may not go till 25.
Dustin, I'll let G go, but we're thinking along the same lines here. G, what do you think?
That's all I'm saying.
So here's excuse me. Here's what went down. So Cam and Shador are friends. They worked out prior in the offseason. They worked out prior to this season. They worked out a couple of days ago. They are friends. They are very competitive, and they talk. The reason you don't hear any Cam Ward talk or banter back and forth is because the Titans already told Cam Ward that they are taking him number 1. There's no need for anybody to talk. Have you heard any conjecture about number 1? Was Cam Ward sliding?
Cam Ward did say today, I just want to mention this, we'll talk more about it later. He told ESPN, any team that passes on me, they're going to have to remember it because I'm going to play them for the rest of my career. So that was the first time Cam Ward's made any kind of headlines that I've seen in any sort of regard to his draft position.
He throwing warning shots out there telling people, yeah, I'm the number 1 pick. Now, Shador Sanders is very competitive too, but here's the thing y'all don't understand about them primes. I just saw Prime on a shoe show the other day, and he said, me and Michael Jordan used to talk all the time, but I never wore Jordans because I wanted my own shoes. I wanted my own stuff. I only wanted to wear my own things. And even Michael sent me the unreleases. I want my shoes to be number 1. They are very prideful, and they feel like they're the best in the game. Now, they are not in the business of sliding to 24 or 25. That's not what it's going to be. People thought, all right, well, listen, they might not want to come to Cleveland. Look, bro, when you start putting them numbers on the board and you know you ain't going number 1, what's the next best thing? Number 2. I need to be number 2. And to be honest with you, if he said I like the way they be moving out there. What is that? I like the way they be moving. You know what that means?
It's a shot. It's a compliment to Stefanski.
It's a compliment to Stefanski, and it's a compliment to the weapons. He's like, listen, I got me a 1,300 dude in Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what the Titans got. Listen, I know that Nick Chubb is coming back next year, and we got draft picks to come past that. So if you look at the weapons, you look at what he's saying, I wouldn't mind, because look, before the season, people saw about the Browns being a top 5 Madden team. He probably feels like, look, I'm the answer. I'm that nice. We could be back quicker than they think. That's my take on the situation. Darren already told Cam Ward he's off the board. Now, Shador is trying to get the Browns to tell him in that first visit, yeah, we're going to take you. Don't say nothing, though.
I don't think I have any issue at all with Shador kind of publicly recruiting Cleveland. I have no issue with it whatsoever. Do what you got to do. I do think it's a little weird that Tennessee's out of the equation, but you could be 100 million% right. They've already told Cam Ward, you're going number 1. They haven't really spoken to Shador because if you know you're taking Cam, what's the point? Even though I would argue you should do your due diligence on all of them this far out regardless. But I kind of agree with what Dustin said. If he's not going 1, you want to get drafted as high as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be trying to incept the Browns. And frankly, he's doing an incredible job. And to all the Sanders credit, they are marketing maestros, magicians. All these videos that come out, more and more people in Cleveland that are online that support the Browns are now saying, that's our guy. We got to take him. Like, we love Nick Carnes. We joke about Nick Carnes all the time. Nick Carnes writes a love poem to Shador Sanders every morning now on Twitter. Like, it's reached that level of Shador wants us. We want him. Cleveland, how often has Cleveland been picked by free agents in the history of the Cleveland Browns? Like twice maybe, if that. How often do free agents pick the Cavs or the Guardians or the Indians of past over other cities and options? Well, Shador is picking Cleveland here, right? And do you know how hard it's going to be for Andrew Berry and Stefanski to say, I know you want us and you play the position we need and it's the most important position in the sport, but we're going to go elsewhere. Like, that's going to piss off a lot of fans. If that, I'm not saying they should listen to the fans. I'm just saying the public sentiment around that is going to happen. So I actually applaud Shador for turning up the heat and kind of putting the pressure on Cleveland to make it as hard of a decision as possible to pass on him if they so choose. But I agree with what Dustin said from the beginning. If he doesn't go 2, he may not go to 6.
He should
And
be
if he
going
doesn't
to
go
the
to
Giants
6,
or the Raiders.
You think, but what if they don't like him? Like, I'm just saying, like, if the
so now
quarterback
you
class
started.
isn't
So
as
now
good as everyone
you are.
says, then
It's fishy.
I'm just saying it could be a slide. Like, there's no guarantee these guys are going first, second, and third like last year. Like, it was a lot.
All I know
Think
is
about it like this: when did Aaron Rodgers go?
24th.
All I know is that when y'all brought this up, somebody called me a hater for saying this and saying it was the stupidest thing they ever heard. That since Shador wanted to come to Cleveland, we shouldn't want him. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that it's fishy. I'm just saying it's weird. It's just weird.
Do y'all think this is the way I think about it? People like, to me now, the like on the pecking order, people will say, "Oh, you the quarterback for the Giants. That's a big deal." Or you the quarterback for I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys. That's always a big deal. Or the quarterback for the 49ers. I'm gonna tell you what, in the last 10 years, the biggest news stories come out of Cleveland. All of them. The biggest stories. And if Shador Sanders is looking around, that's the biggest splash in the game. If he goes to Cleveland after Deshaun Watson, after Baker, after all the Colt McCoys and the Johnny Manziels, if he comes to Cleveland, this is the last place where you can become an icon over nothing. Like, if you play well for the Browns, Baker Mayfield got a statue because of his one playoff win in people's minds and hearts. He's going to be the greatest of all time. And Bernie Kosar is not a Bernie. Go ahead.
What is Shador's hashtag?
Legendary.
Is there a place that you can become legendary quicker than having just a minuscule of success with the Cleveland Browns?
I argue this is the only place, because other places have had droughts like we have, but their fan base ain't like ours, or they don't have the history that we do. If Shador Sanders comes in and plays well, the Browns are on TV every single week. I'm telling you, just like this. Even his little dance, he got a dance ready to go. This is wild.
Dustin, do you think what I said makes sense of him picking Cleveland to put a little pressure on the fan base and the front office to make that as hard of a decision as possible?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that that's part of this game plan here. He's getting the fans on his side. He's trying to get the front office probably on his side. I think Garrett's point about, giving credit to Stefanski and Barry and the roster, like by talking about these players in Madden, it's a funny little way to, I don't know, try to subconsciously get inside the Browns' minds of this is the guy who they've got to take. It's interesting, man. It is very interesting, and I'll say this much: it's pretty cool to see, and whether it has to do more so with the Browns or just with the money and the slotting of being the number 2 pick. I frankly don't care, because whoever comes to Cleveland, it's got to be a special person. And for somebody like most quarterbacks probably don't want to go to Cleveland.
Nope.
And wouldn't say a darn thing positive about the Browns because they don't want to be here. Think about it, guys. It doesn't matter how good you are. Most quarterbacks that get drafted to Cleveland fail.
Or end up getting
because of opportunity, because of the team, because of the ownership, whatever it may be. Circumstances dictate the players' failures in Cleveland. This guy doesn't see that. So that to me is like, ding, ding, ding. I like this, and I think the fans like that too.
He leaned into it a little bit. Like he knows this is a place where careers come to die. Like you leave Cleveland, you're a shell of yourself. Like even Baker, the most confident man in the world, Deshaun Watson, they left here and they had to get counseling. We will argue, we will say stuff on Twitter. Like it is brutal. And for a dude to come in and say, "Hey, listen, I like how y'all be moving." I'm like, are you trolling or what are we doing here, Tyvis? What you feeling that good?
That's right. I said it's great by him. Like I said, if he wants to come here, and I think that everybody has their mind made up that him and Kevin probably would be the best match out of all the quarterbacks. I love the fact that he's not running from it. His game fits the situation. He's a guy that don't run from pressure. He steps up and he delivers the ball when the pressure's in his face. Well, guess what? In Cleveland, same difference. Not on the field, off the field, and everything that comes with being the Cleveland Browns. It's a ton of pressure being the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So I love the fact that he doesn't run away from that and he's embracing that. It ultimately just comes down to the fact, do y'all believe that he can get it done? And that's not my decision. That's not nobody on this panel's decision. That's what the front office thinks. And the way that I know that this is a marketing strategy is because I've done it. I did the same thing with Ohio State. You know what I did? I put my face in front of Ohio State all the time. I was down on campus all the time. So they seen me all the time. And it worked. I ended up getting a scholarship to Ohio State. So there it is. So I that's why to me, I'm like, I know the game that you're playing because you can't slick a can of oil. I did this already. So yeah, it ultimately comes down to if that front office believes that he's the guy or not.
All right, we got super chats to wrap up today's show. First one comes from Slow Motion 216, who says, JJ McCarthy threw for 2,900 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks. Harbaugh wouldn't let him throw deep on 3rd and long in close games. Howard, Sanders, and Ward all threw for a lot more yards and touchdowns.
What that means to me, shout out to you for the $9.99. That means if you fall in love with a guy, it don't matter if they ran a triple option in college. You're gonna take them and just be happy with it.
No, the reason JJ going to the Vikings was a great pick is because if you look at the way the Wolverines offense was, it was very similar to what the Vikings do. It's the same thing what Kevin does. It's a zone read team. They run zone and they run play action off of it. So you go get a quarterback and put him back in the same system that he's already flourished in, and you go with a good quarterback coaching play caller like Kevin O'Connell, he'll make the best out of it. So that's why the Vikings was probably the best spot for him. Anywhere else, it would have been a little fishy, but everybody kind of already knew that he was going to the Vikings because his college game translated right to what the Vikings do.
All right, next super chat comes from Halim Youssef, who says, I was in the Ohio State quarterback room for 2 years at every 6 a.m. quarterback meeting with Troy Smith. He could take multiple plays to the line of scrimmage and make the right call. Will Howard could take 3 plays, according to Ryan Day, talking to his mental acumen from the quarterback position. Next up comes from Salvatore the 216. He says, if I had $1 for every time G says, okay, now listen, before his takes, I'd be able to pay for the damn dome myself. All love, UCSS, best sports show out there. G, we're all listening. What's your take?
All right, now listen. That's called marketing. See, man, you got to know me. You know what I'm saying? You got to have the shades and the hats, and you got to have some sayings. Other than that, you just a regular sportscaster. Regular sportscasters don't look like this.
Next one still comes from Salvatore 216, who says, Mikey, I love the League Pass moment stats, but the only League Pass moment stats that matter are against the Celtics, Knicks, Magic, and Pacers. Do you have that stat yet? I've made up my own stat, guys. It's called League Pass moments, which is basically when you get a text from somebody who says, player X, you got to turn the game on right now, and they're going crazy. Ty Jerome leads the Cavs in League Pass moments right now. Against those 4 teams, Donovan's 4th quarter against the Celtics, where he scored 20 points. That was a League Pass moment. DG in that same game played incredible defense on Jason Tatum. I'm not sure that qualifies as a league pass moment, but Garland against the Knicks, 5th game of the season, had 34, 5, and 7 and scored 19 in the 4th quarter. So those would be the 2 league pass moments against those 4 teams I can remember off the top of my head. Salvatore also says Okoro is still our best on-ball perimeter defender. I think DeAndre Hunter might have a word of that. And last 2 come from Isaiah Mahika, who says, why can't it be that Shador doesn't want Tennessee? 2nd-year head coach, new GM, Tennessee isn't attractive. When you compare Cleveland to Tennessee, we have a minute left, guys. What is the more attractive destination if you're a quarterback, Cleveland or Tennessee?
How much money does Tennessee have in free agency?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Cleveland. The reason why
Cleveland got better weapons for sure.
Cleveland got better weapons, and like I said before, you can become that dude. Like all you got to do, you come here and win, you're immortal. We have no immortal people. Bernie's not even a Hall of Famer. Shout out to Bernie, and he's one of the best to do it, right? But he's not even a Hall of. Can you imagine if you got some young dudes coming in here throwing for 4,000? Come on, bro, you'll be a deity almost in the city of Cleveland. We've been so lackluster. All right, it's Cleveland to me.
Are we sure Tennessee has worse weapons?
I don't know. Their receivers are better, I think.
Is Tony Pollard better than Nick Chubb coming off injury?
Yep.
I'm not going to talk about Nick Chubb.
They got Calvin Ridley, Nick Westbrook, Akine, Tyler Boyd,
Traylon Burks, right?
Burks was hurt all last season, but
but I mean, he was a 1st-round pick, though. I mean,
at
some point, if the guy gets healthy, he's got a chance. Maybe I don't know. I'm looking at their depth chart right now.
Neither is a great set of weapons, but that's going to wrap it up for a remote edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. We are back in studio tomorrow. Tyvis, that means you got to drive in. So I know you're not happy about that, but for the rest of us, we should be back in studio tomorrow. We appreciate everyone for tuning in.
What shoes should I wear to impress Tyvis tomorrow? What should I wear?
Wear that one right there.
We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.